This is the Fred's podcast. We are Right So Fred, and we're delighted to be joined by Stuart Lange. I've got that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, yes. Also known as DJ Lange. Is that Danish or Swedish or two A's at the end there?
It's Dutch.
Oh, it's Dutch.
Oh, it's Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah, not right. Relations. 200 years ago.
Right.
Hendrik Lange came over to, the English.
Right. Okay.
Your surname sounds a bit like that's Bay City Rollers track.
What's it doing?
Lange?
Oh, what are you talking about? Ignore him. Ignore him. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Yeah. We want to talk about all sorts of different things. Particularly, we're interested. We've been in the last 30 months. We've been cancelled from everything.
Yes.
And finding artists, and when I say artists, I don't just mean musicians. I mean also painters, sculptors, DJs, however you want, however you want to describe that. Yeah. Finding those who have actually spoken out in any way, even if they agree with the government narrative, find them just to speak out as if it's their own opinion has been proven to be quite difficult, as opposed to just rant and just promote the government narrative. So how have you found it? What was your journey, if you like, prior to COVID a little bit, and then going into March 2020?
Well, I was just carrying on as normal. I was watching the election, and I was thinking, this looks a little bit corrupt. The way Boris was hiding in fridges and things, and I agree. This is. I think democracy is dying. So I was already sort of prepped up, thinking that this government was not going to be good.
No.
And for me, early on, I think it was seeing people like Dr. Yeadon, Mike Yeadon, talking about how things should be moving forward with this type of virus, etc. The Great Barrington Declaration as well. I twigged that early on. So it was clear there was a lot of people talking about how we shouldn't be doing things, but we seemed to be pushing for these lockdowns. But I went along with it. Everything fine.
Right.
When I figured that at least the 2 or 3 weeks lockdown was fair to give chance for the NHS to prepare itself. But as it got further along, it was just becoming more and more obvious. The statistics were saying this isn't what they're saying it is.
Right. Yep.
And so for me, the journey has been a weird one in the sense that I clocked there was something else going on. I was speaking to a lot of DJs. Saying you're a conspiracy theorist, that's ridiculous. There's not people conspiring to do this or that or the other.
Right.
And you go through that. You guys probably had each other, so you
that's true.
Exactly.
Yes.
Had that reassurance that you're not losing the plot. But for me, I would seem to be the only one, in a group of these DJs who were in WhatsApp group that was suggesting this. Nobody else. There was one or two, behind the scenes were saying, yeah, I do agree with you, but they weren't supporting me in the group.
We've had a lot of that.
A lot of people won't say it. So, it felt it was very depressing because I thought I can see what's happening, but why can't anybody else see it? And
yes, exactly.
Was there one particular event that suddenly made you think, what the
tipping points?
Well, it's like a tipping point, or was it just a gradual?
Yeah, I mean, to speak out. I mean, I didn't start speaking out sort of publicly until about I think it was December 2020.
Okay.
I was nervous too about getting it wrong, and I kept questioning myself. But obviously, a lot of other DJs and peers were saying that no, it can't be happening. I remember. I mean, I wore masks up to a point. So I wore them up till I think it was September, October. And I had a mask that said "government lies" on it. I literally
right. So it was under duress.
Yeah. But then I thought, no, I'm gonna be ballsy. I'm gonna make my stand here.
Yeah.
And then I didn't wear one after that. But
right.
I got the usual. I got some DJs calling I was a disease spreader.
Oh.
People I respect and love in the scene.
Oh wow.
And another one was just going crazy about it all, saying, we just take the back. I'm saying it's not going to be like that. It's obvious this is some kind of trick.
Right.
The lies already.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a trick. So it's manipulation. And I don't believe for 1 minute we're going to be out of it just by taking a vax.
No. We it's quite interesting if you go through the timeline of what all these people were saying. People like Piers Morgan and Yasmin Alibi Brown, all these people. it was actually incredibly poisonous. And what I found interesting was that all the things that we'd grown up with, the idea of living in a liberal democracy and prioritizing above all else the right to choose what kind of medical intervention you have, that was all thrown out the window, as was the Nuremberg trial, the code and everything. I mean, it was quite extraordinary how quickly people flipped from being. Andrew Neil was a good example. I grew up thinking he was pretty cool. And then I realised he's a complete asshole.
You couldn't understand him coming out like it was like from nowhere. He just went.
I know.
I'm not going to say the word, but you know, just full on villain, shall we say?
Yeah,
with his views, and it seemed quite late in the game as well that he was prepared to do that.
It was quite late, wasn't it? It's like
then it was obvious, surely that, and surely somebody like him is going to be in the know. You know?
Yes, they would. Yeah.
Well, I was reading the other night because I've heard about the Nuremberg Code, but I didn't know the details of the actual, you know, the details of it. So I was reading the details of it, and it's been broken. I mean, all of it has been broken.
Yes,
every aspect of it's been broken. And it's extraordinary to me how little attention that's got. It's really amazing, I think. And there's a nurse in Canada who came out today, in fact, saying that she's seen in Canada elderly people being jabbed, shouting no while they do it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I have heard about this.
Yes, yeah.
Operations, they get jabbed as well, potentially, you know.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's like what Jeremy Vine said. You know, maybe they should be held down and forcibly jabbed. You know, it's extraordinary behavior.
Yeah, Vine was terrible as well. I mean, I don't watch daytime TV. To be honest, I don't watch any TV. I got rid of the license. I knew it was propaganda. But I see the clips on Twitter. I mean, Twitter for me has been the ultimate place to see what's happening and get and also. I should, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're on social media, you're doing your own research," you know, on the forum, that old stereotype. But you can see that there are so many verified sources.
Yes,
a lot of doctors, etc. So it's arguably been the best place to go to really get the true picture of what's going on. But Jeremy Vine, I mean, the guy's loving it. It's quite obvious.
It's he's not right, is he?
I think
it could just be ratings and you know. I mean, that's the problem. The media feeds on that, so
it does clickbait. Yeah, so is Piers Morgan.
Well, finally, interestingly enough, the Telegraph wrote a piece the other week about the damage that lockdowns have caused. So I think gradually what's happening is people who are interested in the bottom line and numbers are beginning to think, well, actually, if we continue to peddle that narrative, which is collapsing, we're going to lose numbers. So I think they're beginning to come. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, though, is about you initially. What interests me about you, and when I was looking through all the details and stuff, there's loads of information about the people you've worked with and remixes that you've done and all that kind of stuff. Pet Shop Boys and all that, you know, the chart success you've had, and the movie you did with the
Kevin and Perry.
Kevin and Perry. But what I couldn't find is stuff about, for instance, simple things like, when was it when you were a kid that you suddenly thought trance was where I wanted to go?
Well,
do you know what I mean? I mean, when was that, you know?
Well, I kind of got into music from about the age of 16. It was literally, I got a small keyboard, you know, the old cheesy types, the OPS 680 or whatever it is. And then I quickly realized that I really loved doing this. And by the time I finished A-levels, I wanted to go and do a sound engineering course. I thought I'll be a sound engineer, you know. Right. And it was funny because my school said that I wouldn't be able to do it. You know, no, it's too competitive. You're never going to achieve it. But anyway, I did it. I went on one of the first sound sound engineering courses in the UK at Salford Technology at the time.
Right. Okay.
But it wasn't really sound engineering. It was obviously we're trying to market it that way. However, it involved a lot of like TV repair stuff.
Oh, right.
All kind of it was a basic electronics course.
Oh,
and I hated electronics. I really did hate electronics. But I managed to get through the course, and it gave me a bit of experience in the studio, only a couple of hours a week. And but the important thing was I met people who knew what gear you needed to get.
Okay, exactly. Yeah.
So that's the main thing I got from it, was to work out how to get there myself.
Right.
Okay.
When I came back from uni, I thought, I want to make music. I don't want to just be a sound engineer. I want to make music myself. And so I lived with the parents for 5 years. I'm sure they loved that.
Sounds like what we did, yeah. So,
and I remember my dad saying to me at one point, we were getting close to like into about the 5th year, and my dad said to me, he said, "Look,
know what's coming.
You need to start thinking about other things, you know."
Exactly.
And it was that point I thought, well, I should really start sending out demos, shouldn't I? So I did, and funny enough, the first demos I sent out, I got a feature in Future Music magazine.
Cool.
Magazine,
yeah.
And then somebody contacted me. Long and short, one of the hits I had was actually from an instrumental that I'd sent to that label that contacted me.
Right.
All right.
That being Surreal, You Take My Breath Away, which I don't know if you heard, but
yes, we've got a clip of that.
Yeah.
Happy, cheesy kind of song.
Yeah.
They put a vocal on it and stuff, so the vocal's nothing to do with me, but yeah. So it's amazing how that happened. I felt really lucky that I got that.
Yes. Let's just play that so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Quick clip from You Take My Breath Away.
Yeah.
Nothing left to say, nothing to say.
So that was your breakout track, really? Correct?
Well, it wasn't.
Oh.
Really, the funny thing was that appeared to be, and I remember going, the guy, Steve Long, who was the label guy, he saw the potential in it. He thought it could have a Razala Set Me Free kind of vibe.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Very like that.
He put me in contact with Urban Cookie Collective.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And he wrote the lyrics. Allegedly, both of them wrote the lyrics, but they wrote the lyrics, and we went into the studio with Rollo, the Faithless' engineer.
Right.
I can't remember his name now, but and you know, they spent a few thousand on doing this version. Funny enough, the version we ended up using a few years later was one I'd recorded in my tiny little studio.
It's always the way.
How often is that?
Exactly.
But that didn't actually surface as a hit until 2000.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it took 4 years. It sort of went off the boil, and then all of a sudden it came back.
Right.
But my earliest stuff was largely remixes. That's how I really got into it.
Right.
But when I was trying again, it was this guy Steve Long who put me in touch with EMI. Positiva Records, I'm sure you know. It was their baby label initially, Additive Records, and they were interested in my less commercial stuff. So that's how I got in doing that stuff. And then they offered me remix work.
Okay.
And I had one. Do you remember the Braveheart theme track?
Yes.
That was probably the pivotal track actually that made me think, okay, I can. I was working as Spar Shop temporary while I was while I was working when I was at home with my parents. So, and I remember hearing that Protect Your Mind on, you know, it was in the charts at number 4, and I thought, okay, I can probably leave the Spar Shop now. So that's what happened, yeah.
So I've got one curiosity I've got. What were the early gigs like for you? The very first, when you first went out and started doing DJing, how did you feel about it, and what was the vibe like? I mean, how big were the rooms, and what kind of people were there? And you know, was it at that point you knew that that's where you wanted to be, out front, as opposed to, you know?
No, well, this is the thing. I never wanted to be up front at all.
Right.
I did some PAs with the Surreal track back in the day when you did PAs for dance tracks, and you know, I was always terrified, but I knew that I wanted to be a DJ as well. I went to clubs and I saw people playing my records. I thought I should be doing this, So I bought some decks and learnt to DJ. But I was soon thrown into it. I mean, obviously, fortunately, I had a name, so I could get some gigs off the back of my tracks.
Was this vinyl? So interrupt you. Was this vinyl?
It was vinyl, yeah.
Right,
So.
okay.
It takes a bit of skill to get to know that. And I was thrown in a bit at the deep end. Although, fortunately for me, at that time, there was very much if they're a producer, they can't possibly be a DJ kind of vibe anyway. So people were reluctant booking producers.
Okay.
Now you have to produce if you want to be DJing kind of vibe.
Right, okay.
You switch. But so I was terrified of doing it, I have to say. I'm not a particularly extrovert guy at all. Quite quiet, quite shy. So, but I wanted the challenge. I took the challenge on. I thought, no, I can't hide away. I'm going to do this.
Good for you, right? Okay.
So, yeah, and lucky for me, DJing then became your main income source. As you know, the music industry has collapsed. Goes. So it was the right decision at the right time as far as that goes as well.
Right. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Now I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad I pushed through, and really loving all the gigs I'm doing at the moment.
Are you more extrovert now? Do you think more relaxed and?
Yeah, do you know?
Do you take your shirt off and do all that?
I never go as far as you guys would go. But
Nobody should.
not quite with the shirt off.
Right.
I have to do a bit more exercise, but I'm definitely more extrovert in the sense I just enjoy the moment now. Look, you get older, you kind of learn. There's no point worrying about anything. I think it's the same with age anyway. I'm not a young man anymore, so you just got to grab the moment and enjoy it, and that's what I've done.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Have you ever been at a gig been asked to play something you didn't want to play, or been told not to play something? Is it always up to you?
Absolutely both.
Absolutely both. Right.
Yeah. I once played in Wellington in New Zealand, and it was a sort of an extra gig added on to a tour I was doing. I did a couple of other gigs, and this one was a bit of a ropey gig.
Right.
It was pretty much empty, and the guy came up to me and said, "What are you doing? I want some drum and bass." And I'm like, "Okay, this is going to be a difficult night."
Right.
Every DJ has a story like that where you've been completely booked in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Same as us. Yeah.
And, but also I've had promoters in China in particular try and push me to play like really cheesy stuff.
Right.
Okay.
The USB and said, "I want you to play like Mike. You do the big EDM stuff," and I was like, "I can't do it. Not unless you're going to kill me if I don't do it." I can't play it, But I checked USB and just sort of no way.
What are they like when you say that to you? When you point blank refuse, do they back off, or what? What do they do?
Pushing the USB at you.
Because we were approached to play some shows. We were approached by a Chinese promoter to go over there about 2 years ago, about 4 years ago. And we got into conversation, and then they started, well, can we see the set list? And we said, well, we tend to make it up on the night. We just, see, and we'll do a set list a couple of hours before we go on. And they said, oh, no, you can't do that. We need to know the set list before you land.
And the lyric content.
And then we said, well, for every show? They said, yeah. And the order. Okay, and we need a lyric sheet. Right. And once you've agreed this, you can't change the order of the songs. So we said, no, we're not doing this, mate. This is doing.
But what you were saying about gigs is interesting, because when and this I know this, just very, very quickly I'll say this. We did a gig and the guy came on before and said, "What sort of intro music would you like? Before you go on." And we said, back in the day, we just thought, oh, we don't care. Play whatever you like. He played the theme from Match of the Day.
No way.
So now we know. Be very specific.
So just moving on. So obviously you've been on the road, been doing shows.
Yeah.
But where we are now, which is 2022, what's the last 18, 24 months look like for you? Were you part of the cancel culture? Were you told no mask, no gig, you don't get a vax, you don't get in? What was that about?
Yeah, what were clubs like, basically?
Well, I didn't travel for 14 months. I mean, we basically in the UK, I think it was 14 months where clubs were closed.
Right.
Obviously, that was very similar in most places. I've had a lot of gigs that were booked, then have moved back and back. In fact, there's one for Armin van Buuren, a big show in the Netherlands that's gone back 3 times. You know, yeah, it's been pushed back. It was supposed to be celebrating 1,000 episodes of his show,
Right.
And obviously the Netherlands has been pretty strict.
It has,
One of the worst.
Yeah.
For me, so I had 14 months where I couldn't work at all as far as the gigs goes. I'm sure it was the same for you.
Yeah.
But then it took a long time for countries to open up to the unvaccinated as well. Incredibly, you can't go to America still. I
know.
I mean, what the most amazing thing about that, Stuart, is you can go to America if you come from Mexico.
Yeah, of course. I know.
So the obvious thing to do is to fly to Cancun,
Mexico,
and then come in through the wall.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not that keen to go, to be honest.
No,
exactly. Yeah. Have you found promotions?
New York and Cali, where it's just masks everywhere as well.
Yes, I know. We haven't been. We were meant to be involved in a movie, and we got kicked off for speaking out. So we haven't been back to America.
No.
Have you found that promoters and others that weren't talking to a year ago, are they now changing their tune, coming back to you? Because we've had some promoters who literally were bad mouthing us about 18 months ago, and now they're coming back and saying, "Oh, you guys free? You around?" You know, have you had that change of heart much?
I mean, well, it's not even been such a change of heart. I don't know so much what the promoters were thinking back then, because there was no discussions going on about gigs.
Oh, okay.
But I've had quite a few promoters say to me, "Well done for speaking up."
Oh, really?
I actually feel that, although a lot of people will believe that I've been cancelled as a result, I don't get as many gigs. I think there's quite a few promoters who've actually seen that what I was saying was correct and agree with me. I mean, every gig I go to, I literally have 30, 40 fans come up and they will also mention the stance I've taken.
They will, but they're good for them.
Yeah, and so there's been continual support shown. I've had other DJs, for example, I had one a couple of months ago at a gig say, he apologized. He said, "I'm so sorry."
Right.
He said, "You've been speaking exactly what I believe, but I just haven't had the bottle to."
Did you say that?
Wow.
Right. Okay.
And I know I've had other emails as well. People saying, "You're right on the money, but I just can't do it." I tried to do something, and some of these DJs are pretty up there as well.
Yes. Okay.
But I think that there's still a lot of people think that no other DJ is speaking out, and in our scene, and that's largely the situation.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's the same with musicians. I think the most staggering aspect of this whole episode is people that I thought would speak out have said nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got Rage Against the Machine all masked up.
Yeah.
What machine are they raging against?
A printer.
They should call themselves the Slightly Niggled Machine.
Yeah. So just people get an idea of what you've been involved in. This is your this is some clips from the Together.
Yeah. This has got some good, really good.
Yeah, and this is your soundtrack, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
I get goosebumps watching
it's
that.
great, isn't it? Really, I find it really
And the music is absolutely
the music is
perfect.
spot on for that, isn't
perfect.
it? Really, really euphoric.
But also, it makes you realise what extraordinary times we're living in.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, watching the truckers in particular in Canada. I mean, I found myself a couple of nights actually watching live footage of them on the front line, if you like, with the police, and you know, you could see the passion in the people wanting to just get things working. I watched them as they talked to a policeman saying, "You can make such a difference by stepping over this line," you know. History, and you could just see the sincerity, the lies that went out, and Trudeau is just a despicable man for this. The lies that went out trying to make out it was some insurrection or these were vile people. You know, they were playing there, making pizzas for each other. It was I know it must have been a pain in the arse for people living in Ottawa. Let's face it.
Yes.
But it was clear and very obvious that all the marching that has been happening over the last over that period. I mean, it's calmed down now, but we're just everyday people from all walks of life. We saw it as well on the marches in London. You know, everybody possible there, children, old people, disabled people, everybody from everywhere just getting on. No trouble as well at those
not unless the TSG turned up.
Exactly.
One of the ones I went to, or a couple of them, there was clearly over 100,000 people.
Yeah, it was busy.
On the BBC at all?
No, none. I think what happens is two people glue themselves to London Bridge, and suddenly it's front page news.
And
100,000.
Seeing the protest that they want us to see.
Yes, they are.
I'm sure we'll get into that in shortly. But
well, the compliance in the media has been absolutely extraordinary.
Yes,
and also I think what's interesting, around the corner from us, there's a vaccination centre, and in the top right-hand corner is the NHS logo. So it doesn't matter how many adverse effects there are. It doesn't matter what the evidence is. The NHS is still peddling it like some snake oil salesman. It's extraordinary to me.
They are. I mean, I was having a discussion on Twitter. I tend to try and sort of, discuss with people who are willing to discuss. I was talking about there was an advert from, I think it's Vicky Loves Facts, who's done an advert for the NHS, about pregnancy and vaccines totally safe, this, that, and the other. And I asked her, well, what about natural immunity? Are you advising people who've already had COVID? I mean, most people have had COVID now. Are you seriously saying that they need a booster? Her response, her response was to show me a 1.5-year-old studies showing that yes, that the vaccine does work in pregnant women, and the response was inadequate. She didn't answer my question, and this is the issue. It just seems like people are just blanking out, whether it's or not. I'm not saying it's deliberate at all. I'm sure she's genuinely passionate about her job, but I just can't understand the lack of looking at the obvious, which is COVID. Why would you need a booster? Natural immunity exists. It works.
Yep, exactly.
That's EUA, and a lot of people don't realise that these still are EUA.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
You might have seen it this morning. A Canadian nurse has come out and saying that she's seen elderly people screaming no while they actually inject them. I know an elderly lady, and she's 84. She's has no dementia or anything, but she's had 3 jabs, and I know for sure that she wasn't told what it was. She wasn't given the option as to whether she wanted it. She certainly wasn't told that it was experimental. She certainly wasn't told that there were adverse effects. She trusts the people that take it. As a lot of old people, elderly people, and particularly in social care, do. Yeah. And that's what I was referring to earlier about the Nuremberg Code being broken all the time, and it's consistently broken, and nobody talks about it. The press don't talk about it at all. It's extraordinary to me.
Well, we've when you think about it, I mean, even Biden said that there's an 80-year kind of cycle, and then we have these kind of little collapses. We're in a much bigger one now. We're in hundreds of years collapse. We're in an industrial revolution.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
But the interesting thing is the trust people have, and it's because we've had this comfortable period.
We have, yeah.
Where the rich have been making their money from capitalism. Everyone's got this feeling of freedom. You do this, you do that. And they're more than happy building up their assets, making all this money, you know, rinsing the markets every day, as they do in the stock market stuff. So they've been making an absolute fortune, amassing all this wealth. That's why you've been able to trust them to a degree.
Yes, exactly.
Now things have changed. The system's coming to an end, as you know.
Yeah.
We're going to have a massive financial collapse, and they're making sure they're positioned that they keep everything.
Absolutely.
They need, and the only way they can keep it is by control.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, one thing I always found really mind-numbing is that through Brexit, it was clear that there were lots of people. Even it doesn't matter which way you voted, there were lots of people accusing politicians and people in the mainstream media of lying. So that debate was going on, and whether you thought we should leave or whether we should stay, it was clear that people on both sides were manipulating information for their own benefit. So suddenly, and then there was a poll at the end after Brexit. I think it was where were we? Probably sometime early 2019 or maybe mid-summer 2019. Poll asking about how much faith people have in politicians saying and doing the right thing, and it was I can't remember the percentage, but it was very sad. I mean, the massive percentage of people who just didn't have faith in politicians anymore. And you roll forward 6 months, and those same people are believing politicians with medical health advice. And I just thought, well, hang about, you thought they were lying 6 months ago, but apparently now they're not.
Fountains of all truth.
Yes, I don't get that. I mean, I don't understand how they can't stop and think, well, he was lying then. Maybe he might be not lying now, but they didn't. They actually just didn't. They just said, well, you know, because he's standing next to Patrick Vallance, he must be telling the truth.
Well, let's play the thing, Stuart, where he's.
Oh yes, we got your message.
We got the message, which is interesting because it speaks to what we're speaking about.
It does. Yes, a quick run.
Hey, this is an emergency. After they passed the online safety bill, we had to go underground. It was no longer possible to post or express ourselves publicly. It started off gradually, but it quickly sped up. They said I was causing distress, but I was only asking questions. But I was clearly saying things some didn't want to be said.
So did you do quite a few of those?
I just did a couple, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Together guys asked me if I do that video, and
right.
You know, I mean, I'm not very good.
Norway,
no.
But this is the issue we have now, and that they are literally trying to control the message.
Everything.
Yeah, they could, absolutely everything. Yeah.
What you say about people trusting, there's been such a powerful movement to brainwash people to believe that anybody speaking against that narrative must be lying. I mean, people have known. I'd say a large proportion of people have known that Big Pharma is pretty corrupt.
Yes, you think? Yeah, absolutely.
Yet they're there, totally up for having an injection from Pfizer.
Yes.
I mean, the first thing you can Google is Pfizer scandal and see they are one of the worst companies, you know, for that.
Yeah, they are.
The biggest fine for bribing doctors to say the thing.
Right. Yeah, and just a European hearing, 2 weeks ago now, that lady, I can never remember her name. I think it's R.J. Small or something, J. Small, and she's a Pfizer director, and she said, no, we never tested for transmissions.
No, so, I found that incredible. Yeah.
And so you go,
thought they might have tried to claim that initially, but in the documents apparently they didn't really claim it. You know, so. Yeah. But they certainly implied it. I mean, obviously, Boulier, whatever his name is.
Boulier, yeah.
Yeah, he said on many occasions it was about, you know, stopping the transmission.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Kate doing that. We had all of our government didn't do that so much. I have to say they did imply it, but they never said it stops transmission as much as America did.
No, that's true.
Is that why they got
America was nutty with it? People literally claiming you can get COVID.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
One theory, Stuart, is that they got rid of Johnson because he wasn't. Because if you remember, there was one interview when Johnson was in front of the mic, in front of the camera, saying exactly that.
So
it doesn't stop you catching it, and it doesn't stop you passing it on. And I think the people above thought he's not the guy for us.
Yeah.
Johnson's a weird one. I can't work out where he stands on this because. Do you remember that saying that about the body's pile high thing?
Yes.
personally, for me, I think that was just something that was said to make the people go against the government. Go, no, lock us down, lock us down.
Yeah, okay.
Psychology.
Yes.
But with Johnson, you can't work out. We were certainly, I think, safer in some respects with Johnson. But equally, he has repeatedly pushed the vaccine. So
that's completely, yeah. And I'm not sure. Do you believe he had COVID? Do you believe he went to hospital because of COVID?
I'll be honest, no. I mean,
No.
I think we've seen it with politicians all around the world. When they need to have COVID, they
have it.
It's convenient, isn't it?
Continual reminder. I mean, Trudeau, the truckers are literally outside. He goes and has COVID and disappears.
Yeah.
But also, it's the same. It's the same with
It's time to work out how we're going to deal with this. Have some meetings, really work out. Try and let it cool down a bit. I mean,
yeah. The thing is, Stuart, is they're going to go after. We now have Sunak, who is a digital currency maniac, and that's how they're going to attempt to control people. I think, because people don't realise. I don't know whether you agree, but they don't realise that the spear point of this is cash.
Cash control.
Cash. If you have ready and easy access to cash, you cannot be controlled.
Yes,
you spend it how you like. You can. It gives you a certain degree of anonymity. The minute you use your credit card, the minute they digitize this stuff, you are finished.
Yeah.
So I don't think people fully understand. There's a little pop-up thing down the road. No cash.
Yeah.
So that's
a burger bar, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think I don't know how you feel about it, but I certainly feel that is it's a what's the word? It's a litmus paper test, if you like, for freedom. I remember seeing a thing with Sunak. He's profoundly against cash. He's not interested at all.
No, he's not. Well, wasn't there an announcement with this today or on Friday about you now if you have to validate why you want to take out £100 cash? No, there was. I got that wrong.
No, we were watching Jimmy News, and Lelena Darling tried to take out £500 out of her out of her bank, and the teller behind the screen said, "What's it for?"
Really? Right. We're at that stage already?
Yeah.
She's fine. She's lucky to find a bank open.
I don't tend to take 500 quid out so often. But
yeah, exactly.
But it's the same. My brother's wife had her bank account frozen, and when she went to the bank to try and find out why, they said because your passport's out of date.
Yep. So she took updated the passport. They took 6 weeks to open the account and didn't honour any of the direct debits or standing orders. So she got her account open again and had bad credit because they wouldn't honour it. I mean, just
passport. I don't understand that.
No, you don't.
Well, there's no reason.
Bullshit.
There's no reason. And that was in Spain. That was Kaya Bank. I mean, my experience with the Spanish banks is all absolutely appalling, particularly Sabadell. But I'm sure equally dreadful stories. I'm sure there are with NatWest and Barclaycard and the rest of them over here.
When you're Stuart, when you're in the studio doing stuff, do you feel the need to reflect what's going on in a positive way, or do you feel or do you feel the need to reflect what's going on in a kind of dark? I mean, does it have any effect on you at all when you're in the studio? I mean, we were
you were trying to escape.
Yeah, because we're in the middle of writing a song called "Spiritual War." Because but on the other hand, the next song we do, we want it to be all fluffy.
I'm a bit exhausted with bad news. I'm sort of on the, I'm rocking a hard place. On the one hand, I know it all fucking sucks and I'm furious with it. On the other hand, I can't live like that the whole time because it's too much negativity. So I'm to be honest, I'm sort of struggling which way.
So I was wondering
which way to jump.
So I was wondering with you when you're in the studio, to what extent?
I'm the same as you guys. I want to get some of the darkness into the music, because that's how you feel sometimes. I mean, to be honest, I didn't write much music over the last over the lockdown period.
Right.
Just feeling really frustrated, and I probably should have thrown it into music, but I just couldn't focus. I didn't feel inspired to write. But like with the Together track, I was trying to make it positive. Obviously
it sounds positive.
It sounds positive and it looks positive.
Yeah. Hope and people coming together. The new one I've done, God Loves the Truth, is a bit more somber and melancholic, but but then the truth isn't exactly a great thing at the minute.
It's not. Can we just play a bit of that? Because I actually, as a first time listen, play it again now. First time listen, I found it quite euphoric, personally. So let's just.
Not dark at all, you mean?
Well, it's just dark, but I think it has quite an uplifting vibe. Just play it now.
I really like that.
Yeah, I find that uplifting. You see.
Yeah, I think it is uplifting.
I know the da-da-da. It feels.
But it has that dark sort of emotional side to it, I guess is what I'm saying. There's
yes.
emotion in there. I mean, that's a lot of what trance music is actually. It's that kind of, you feel good, but you have there's that emotional edge to it.
Yes.
And obviously you've got a lot of happy trance music as well, but
yes.
So it's on the line, that one on the line.
It's good. I like it.
One thing that's interesting about that is the word God, obviously, and we've been talking to other musicians in this period, and faith and God is becoming increasingly more central to the argument. And there are some people we've spoken to who truly believe that this is light and dark.
Yeah,
that's what's going on here. This is a question of faith and a question of humanity, and God, whatever your God happens to be, as Dave Allen used to say, may your God go with you. So that's what I found. Do you agree with that? Do you think that faith and God and that kind of, I don't mean God in the Christian sense, but just the idea of a superior being and in some kind of grounding in something other than a reference point, something other than the material world that we live in, is becoming increasingly significant in the days that
I've always been agnostic. I've always believed that I can't believe we're here.
Right.
It's incredible. So, but I don't necessarily. I don't believe that what man has constructed as this is what the truth is. I just simply haven't got enough evidence.
No. Well, I agree.
But I do feel that that the last couple of years has really tuned me into the idea of good and evil.
Yep.
More so than before. And I've heard this from other people as well. You genuinely feel that there's this wave of evil at the moment that they're pushing through. This horrible, and for me, this is about transhumanism as well. I don't know if you guys feel this, but the obviously, you've got the Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. Is very much talking about the fourth industrial revolution.
Completely, yeah.
And this is an idea of transcending from an evolution that's arguably natural, an evolution where we are our own editors, our own creators, and you can see the future's going to be that regardless. We're moving into this. Elon Musk with his wants to tap into the brain, but we are going to head that way, 100%. And but is that the right thing to be doing? I mean,
do you think
people of complete faith would say no? We are human. We're not supposed to be our own editors and creators. So that's I think is also why this has really come to a head of a good evil thing.
Yes, it is. I mean, we're involved with an initiative, is I suppose best word, in Sussex called Hope Sussex, which is homeschooling. It's an alternative to the standard education, and it's very much to do with how to grow your own food and how you make stuff and how you look after your bank account, how you preparing you for life, and which we support, and we get involved in their events. And one thing they believe is that what will happen, there'll be a parallel lifestyle. So I agree with you. There will be a whole bunch of people who embrace the digital world, but equally, I think it's going to trigger another lifestyle. And I think you're going to have a whole bunch of people who may be equally successful in their own way, and they'll be living in a slightly different way. They will, just like, for example, I was in a restaurant in Barcelona, and I walked in, and they wanted a QR code. I said no, and they said, okay, don't worry. And then they said, do you have your pass? I said no. I said, but I got money. I got money, got cash right here. And they kind of looked around there and, oh, come in. And I think that's where this will go. And there's a local cafe, and I haven't reprimanded them because they're very nice people, but they've got a little sign that says no cash. Right under that sign, there's a tip jar. So, and they do take cash.
They do take cash.
And they do take cash. But I think their owners, whoever, the council, someone has said, you've got to put that up. But right, exactly. And I think it's their way of saying, actually, of course, we take cash because there's a freaking tip jar. And I think we're going to get this movement, and certainly with music, certainly with events, we're putting on the Liberty, doing our best to put on a Liberty Music Festival at the end of next September. It's going to be an indoor event in Manchester. And we're currently talking to sponsors and stuff.
I'll talk to you about that.
Absolutely. And we're what's interesting is we've sat down with some different people, and we've told them what this is about. We've sent them a mission statement, and they totally get it. Because from their point of view, whether they're vaxxed or not, whether they agree with us or not, it's a commercial venture. Can we make this work? Is someone going to make money off this? If yes, they'll support it, like with anything. And I think I think if we're trying to do it a year ago, they would have said, oh, fucking anti-vaxxers, where's your mask, and where's this, and where's your cure? Now it's like people go, no, this isn't going to work. This crazy idea that Sunak has and Johnson has isn't going to work. They need to find this middle ground. It needs to, and we'll get these parallel lives. Also, and I think it'll roll out into music.
Yeah. Also, I think art. What you do, I think, is incredibly important. And I think people don't realise how important art and music is going to be in this.
Vital.
It's absolutely vital. The minute you put chips in people's heads, you'll get no experimentation. You'll get no. What I love about humanity is its complete unpredictability, and that's what politicians hate about it.
Yeah.
Politicians are like bouncers. They want a controlled situation.
You're right. Art comes from desperation, comes from being high, being this, that, the other, or, just every possible experience in life.
Yes.
Pumps into art. And that's the problem with transhumanism. Once we go down that road,
exactly.
And I've got, and you think about it. Once you've got the perfect human, there is they might be able to make art, but they're to appreciate art because you have to have the emotions of a human being to appreciate art.
Exactly. On that very note, I just want to play a clip of one of your tracks, and it's a guy dancing who doesn't look like he's a.
I thought it was you, mate.
For a second, we thought it was you.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like you'd imagine a dancer looks. I really like the look of this.
Yeah.
So I just play a quick clip of this, which is our way home. I really like that because you wouldn't get, that just wouldn't come out of North Korea or China.
Exactly.
Yeah, you wouldn't have that randomness of the guy in a tracksuit, then in a top hat, and or if they did do it, they would have just copied it from someone like you.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the other thing is I always think if you look at the detail, it's not the World Spiritual Forum, it's not the World Democratic Forum, it's not the World Humanity Forum, it's the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
it's money.
Yeah,
it's all about money. That's what it is.
And they made a mess of it so far.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the one thing we should be encouraged by is their incompetence and I think a lot of this is black. I don't think AI is ready. I don't think facial recognition is ready, and I'm not even convinced digital currency is ready for a social credit system. I think there's a lot of black. I think the technology will be in place at some point. I'm not convinced that they're ready to go. I feel there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. Well, I mean, obviously there's a bit of hopium with me that, but that's how I feel.
Stuart, what's your next? How do you see for you personally? How do you see the future? What are there still particular ambitions that you want to achieve? Things you want to do? Kind of music you want to do? Because we think about this all the time. Like, where are we going to be in 10 years' time? What the fuck are we going to be doing?
Well, I've been old people saying.
Well, I mean, for me, to be honest, I almost feel like I've found what I'm happy doing. Through lockdown, I was doing live streams, and I basically a lot of people jumped onto Twitch. Is primarily a gaming platform,
right?
Make people playing games, but then a lot of DJs went on it, and so I was doing that every Friday night, sometimes in the week as well.
Right.
And I had this group just come together, literally of about 300, 400 people. Some of them were ex-clubbers, they've had kids, but they kind of jumped online and they found this again. And that built up, and then they built up as a community in a Facebook group, a private Facebook group. So they've kept in touch. Okay. I've been and met them at private parties together and stuff. And I see them at all my events. There'll be always a dozen or so of them at events all over the place, including Ibiza this year as well. Amazing. Okay. So many of the group out there for that.
Right.
So for me, having that connection, I'm not looking to play. I'm not aiming to play the big stadiums.
Right.
The 10,000 crowd things. I'm happy having that real connection with people.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the live streams don't make any money, but I still do it every Friday night if I'm available.
Right. Okay.
It's a nice community. It's a
great
nice
community. Yeah, I agree with you.
Has your sense of ambition changed since you started? I mean, when you started, because I know I had a feeling of where I wanted to be, and then I realised I didn't want to be there at all.
Well,
does that happen to you?
I think so. I think it happened before COVID, though. I had this sort of realization that I'm not looking. I mean, it's a young man's game in some respects, anyway. The DJing, obviously.
Yeah.
So I was well aware of my position in it. I've had my golden era, which was the trance days of '99, 2000. Yeah. I've been so lucky to be able to continue doing that because of the success back then as well. That's kept me at the forefront of the scene. And I don't really want to be traveling the world, going to America for a weekend, going to New Zealand. I've done that. Thing. And the world's for me. I don't see that as a future option anyway. I don't think it's going to be that easy.
So I agree with that.
We agree.
Yeah, that's totally where we've gone with this. Yeah.
So I've embraced the classics sort of label, if you like, for my older stuff. A lot of the trance scene in the UK is very much into the older stuff. They remember the good days. They're passionate about it. So I played quite a few classics, 90s events, and for a long time I was turning those down. But because career-wise, my agent wanted this, wanted that. You don't want to be a classic DJ. I'm perfectly happy to embrace it. And it's amazing. It's made me realise just how good that music was back then as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Great.
The last 2 years has relifted, should I say, my own passion for the music. So It's
That's
been
true.
a
That's the thing.
Good for you.
When you were saying you didn't work much in the during the 2-year period, and with us it was kind of the same. And one thing, it forced us to rethink about what we were
and what's important. Yeah,
and what's important.
Really,
Absolutely.
I completely, and I agree with you. I've got no real lust to jump on planes and go touring in America or South America. We've been offered some stuff, and I don't mind popping over to Europe now and again. But I agree with you. I've got different goals now, different ways of I'm wanting to work, and the big I am doesn't do it for me anymore, really. And the community thing is really important, and
that's how we're going to win this. Is community. That's how we're going to protect each other and help each other. Is through
absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've enjoyed it.
Can we just play one more thing again?
Oh, what do you want?
The God is Love thing.
You want to play that again?
Yeah, I want to play that again.
No, he's become a tart. He's become a trance
No,
tart.
it's just that I really like it.
Let's play it again.
Let's play it again.
Yeah, we'll play it again. Just before we say our goodbyes.
It's a long time since I've wanted to get on the dance floor and cut a rug, but that,
Good, isn't it?
that really makes me want to do it.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and also it sounds like you should just get some syncs off that.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're looking at adverts, I mean, I don't mean with the lyric, but let's say maybe just instrumental.
Yeah.
Great for car ads. I mean, I don't know if you're into that sort of thing, but syncs are just so useful these days.
Yeah, easy money.
The Holy Grail, the old things.
Yeah, they are, man. Yeah. Well, once again, sir, thank you so much.
Thanks, Stuart.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully
really
you'll be happy to come back on sometime next year, and we'll have a catch up.
And we'll talk to you about Manchester.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we will.
We'll talk-
Absolutely.
yeah.
Once we're further down the line, we'll be approaching a few people, and you'll be one of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
thanks
just,
so much.
yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and keep it going.
Absolutely.
Onwards, man.
Onwards.
Much love.
Upwards and onwards.
Thanks a lot, Stuart. Take care, man. All the best.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.